what's cracking, you guys? Welcome to the Mango Grove. My name is Krisha, and this is today's Bitcoin analysis video. I know I'm a tad bit late today. Quite honestly, I've actually been all over the place today for some reason. I usually start off my day with a to-do list, but believe it or not, this might be the only thing I managed to tick off on my to-do list today. So not a very successful day, but hey, this would make me very happy if I can sort of bring this analysis to your screens today. But anywho, here's today's agenda, guys. I'm going to first start off with a bit of housekeeping. There is something that I want to talk to you guys about. I'm noticing something. Then the second point on the agenda is Bitcoin's last bull run trigger. Now, I know I've been sounding like a freaking broken record with the bull run triggers, but hey, we're going to be talking about the last one, which might actually go off very, very, very soon. So I'll be talking about that region of, resistance that I'll be looking for Bitcoin to close over, okay? We'll be talking about that in addition to, pullback opportunities. Now, yes, there are still key levels underneath Bitcoin, though, right now. So that pullback opportunity. That being said, I think we'll be lucky to score the pullbacks right now, okay? However, for those of you still caught without your core allocation on Bitcoin, I think it's going to be very important that you guys remain price agnostic in this current juncture of the market. Okay, very, very important that you be price agnostic here. All right, so anyways, we'll be talking about the pullback opportunities if there are any, and then I'll be ending off with, the most fun part of today's video, which is Bitcoin's next Euphoria stage. Now, I have identified a signature on Bitcoin's chart that helps me really gauge whether or not we are getting into the next Euphoria stage for Bitcoin. Okay, now this, guys, is Edge. I have backtested this on all cycles. Okay, so I have found something, and this is Edge, and I want you guys to know that this is the only time I will be bringing this up to your attention. Okay, now why am I very selectively bringing things up to your attention? Okay, why you guys? It's because you're still here. We're in the nascency of the next bull run, and the fact that you're still here is telling me that you likely sat through this entire dump, this entire bear market for Bitcoin. Okay, the fact that you did not get pushed out of the market during the dump is basically telling me, and this is one of Bitcoin's worst bear markets, right? So the fact that you are still here is telling me that you are here to stay, that you are here to learn. Okay, and that's why I'm giving you this edge that I have in my, in my arsenal. Okay, this is the only time I will be bringing this up. All right, so yeah, pay attention. It's gonna be fun. It's a fun set of signature that I found, and I'll be keeping an eye out on it. And now, as far as housekeeping is concerned, guys, many of you guys know that we are currently running a sale on the seed program as well as the Mango Dynamic Indicator. The coupon code to which can be found on my screen as well as in the description below. That being said, I'm noticing that a lot of you are, gravitating towards the Mango Dynamic. And guys, I think the Dynamic is a phenomenal indicator. Don't get me wrong. In fact, 3/4 of all my bull run triggers are hinged on the Dynamic. But I'll say this, okay? Now, because we are in the nascency of the bull run, if there's anything, guys, I would recommend, and I really want you to give this some thought, okay? If you're thinking of jumping in, give some thought to the seed program. Believe me when I say the seed program, guys, is ultimately what's going to make sure that you are not selling too early. We know people who sold on the test of the 10 SMA. We know people, if I take you guys on over to the weekly time frame, put on my ribbon, I know people who bought up against here. The seed program is what's going to make sure that you are not selling too early or buying too late. It's going to keep you on the right side of the trend. In fact, after all the FUD that we saw on the macro landscape, we still remain bullish. And why is that? And we then capitalize on this move right here today. Right? We're sitting pretty in our long-term allocations. Why is that? It's because of TA. The seed program is what's going to give you the foundations. It's the concepts taught in the Mango seed program that's going to keep you in your positions despite this little fake out that we saw in the market, right? This was an entire whipsaw that we saw in price action. But it's all of those concepts that's going to make you a better trader. It is all of those concepts that's going to make every indicator you use, irrespective of what it is, it's going to make every indicator that much stronger, right? So for those of you really sort of making a decision right now, I'm going to sort of, recommend that you get into the seed, because this is the time where you guys need to be learning. Because let me tell you something. If there's anything that I learned during the euphoric stages of any bull market cycle, right, during this phase here, during this phase here, you're not going to have time to sit down, hunker down, and learn, because you're going to be too distracted thinking of all the moves that you're missing at any given point in time. All right, you are going to be very, very busy during the bull run phases. So this is the time where you need to hunker down and learn. It's during these market junctions right here. This one right here, this one right here, this one right here, this one right here. All of these bear market reversal phases is where you guys need to be learning. Right, so if there's any time I would really, really push you guys to, well, get into the program, it's now. Now, of course, it doesn't have to be the program. You could be, I don't know, grabbing a book, grab any resource, but now is the time to be learning. Okay, I promise you it is going to pay dividends. Right, so for now, for those of you still deciding between the dynamic and the seed, I'm going to, well, say this out loud, get the freaking seed. Sean is a phenomenal teacher. You can ask anyone in there, check out the testimonials, but trust me, you are not going to regret it. Okay, it's going to set you up for the next bull run to come. Now, as far as point number 1 on today's agenda is concerned, speaking of bull run, let's go over that last freaking trigger that we're looking at right now. So that last trigger, guys, that last bull run trigger is primarily hinged on the weekly Ichimoku dynamic cloud, right? And the 55 simple moving average to give us that filter. That way we are not getting trapped on that last investor trigger. And I'm calling this the investor trigger because this bull run trigger essentially helps you catch the meat of the move. Okay, that's what this is here for. And that's why it is our last trigger to go off. Okay, now let's go ahead and first pull it up and then we can sort of flesh it out a bit more. Okay, so now this is the Ichimoku dynamic cloud. And now let's go ahead and pull up the filter, which is the 55 simple moving average. Okay, all on the weekly time frame. Right? For those of you who have access, you can follow along. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this text. And I want you guys to, now just to give you guys the criteria behind this trigger going off. What is it that we're looking for again? Just a very, very quick refresher. We are looking for one weekly candle close over both levels. All right? The Ichimoku dynamic cloud and, okay, it is in addition to, inclusive of, and the 55 simple moving average. And now, if I go ahead and zoom in to this price action right here, where are we living? We're currently living over the 55 as well as that Ichimoku dynamic setup right there. Okay, now we're waiting on a confirmed weekly close over these two levels to give us that last trigger. That is when the last trigger goes off. Now, historically, every time we've gotten the signature, Bitcoin has then led up to its next markup phase, getting into the bull run, right? If this is the entire cycle, clearing the investor trigger, which is somewhere here, usually leads to the next markup phase for the cycle. I don't know why my lines are this squiggly, but they are. But you get the picture, right? So now this is that last bull run trigger that we are going to be looking for. Okay, and that's why I think that for those of you who still don't have your core allocations, if you are willing to be price agnostic here, you can still get in, okay? Bitcoin, in my opinion, is still in its nascency of the bull run phase. Right, as long as you're willing to, well, let the fundamental aspect not guide you too much. And this is where I say don't miss the forest for one tree. And that's always the issue. That's always the qualm that I've had with the fundamental landscape of things. While yes, there is good, there's good sort of information that you can derive from there. It's often very subjective. It's often very, very, there's a lot of gray area in there, right? Very seldom can you account for every edge case. But what you can quantify to a reasonable probability is price action. This, what you see on the chart, guys, is literally buyers and sellers congregating into one marketplace, essentially fighting each other. It is a zero-sum game. Right? So it depends on who's winning here. Now, over the past couple of months, in fact, we've seen a turn in tides. Right? We're seeing a shift in order flow from selling to buying. Right? And that is very, very prevalent just looking at the weekly trend. Right? We're putting in a series of higher highs and almost higher lows. This was a fake out right here. Right? But if you had proper risk management involved, you probably still managed to stay in your long-term core allocation. Right, I was going over the bull run triggers for this very scenario wherein you have multiple triggers, that way you are not getting kicked out on just one. While we had a total of 4 with 3 already gone off. On this dump right here, what happened there was only 1 went off. So you went from 3 triggers going off to only 2. Right, but hey, I'm still looking at that as, all right, it's decent. It's a 50% probability that we're still in it. right? I am not going to let my bags go because one of the triggers went off. And what did price do after that? Well, we lost one trigger only for price to then rally back up and then reclaim that trigger once again. So we went from 2 out of 4 back to 3 out of 4, right? And now with this current move, we're about to get our last 4 out of 4 bull run triggers. Alrighty, so try and be price agnostic here, especially if you're someone who does not have your long-term core allocation. Now, as far as the level is concerned, we're looking at the 55 simple moving average right here as that next sort of region of support. Let's actually go ahead and draw out that support for us, okay? We're looking at the 55 all the way down to that Ichimoku dynamic cloud. The 55, guys, comes in at around $24,910 if you guys want to go ahead and take note of that number. And the Ichimoku cloud comes in at around $23,854. What we are looking for is for price to basically close this weekly above $24,909. Okay, it's the 55 simple moving average. We can close over that, this trigger goes off. Okay, now as far as pullback opportunities are concerned, for those of you who are still stuck without your long-term allocations, well, I'll say this. The pullback opportunity, in my opinion, I want you guys to focus on the key regions, the very, very important regions of resistance that Bitcoin has, well, cleared now. Okay, we're currently living over those regions. And that is primarily hinged on what we're seeing here as far as the red box territory is concerned, as well as if I go ahead and put on my mango ribbon indicator, you'll find that we had that entire cluster of resistance overhead with the 200 simple moving average, the 200 EMA, as well as the 55 exponential moving average. Right, so we can actually extend this red box territory all the way up to include that entire cluster of resistance. Now, what's important to note is that we haven't really flipped this region of resistance just yet. Yes, this is a very, very powerful move by Bitcoin, but what we will be looking for in terms of confirmation is this weekly candle to close over the entire cluster right there. That is going to be our breakout confirmation. Okay, and why I believe this is also going to be a very, very good pullback opportunity to get, okay, is because not only do we break that major region of resistance, I want you to know what else we're breaking right here. We also break out of that beautiful inverted head and shoulders pattern that I brought up to your attention just yesterday. It's now, this is it right here. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to go ahead and actually knock off my ribbon. I want you guys to focus on price action right here as well as volume, okay. Now, as far as price action is concerned, we're currently hovering over that neckline right there. The neckline, guys, also lines up with that entire cluster of weekly resistance. We clear that out. Now, usually when it comes to these inverted head and shoulders patterns, if this is the pattern right here, right, that's the inverted head and shoulders pattern, this being the neckline, price usually when it does break out, there are times where we do get that retest. Okay, the retest of the neckline before we see another continuation to the upside. So this might likely be the next retest zone for Bitcoin, okay? This might be the very next pullback zone for Bitcoin, okay? From the neckline coming in at around 25.2K all the way down to this level right here at around 23.8K. All right, so I'm going to be gunning for this as the next pullback opportunity. In my opinion, I think we're going to be a tad bit lucky to get that region. Why do I think so? It's because I want you to notice this entire sort of zone right here, right? From this all the way to, well, this wick high right here, from this wick low to this wick high. That was a very, very volatile zone for Bitcoin. And every time it sort of penetrated that region, price has often just, well, made its way all the way up to the next region of either support or resistance, depending on where we have broken to. If we're broken up, we're heading into resistance. If we're broken down, we're heading into support. As things stand right now, it appears that Bitcoin is currently, you know, smack in the middle of that red box territory with us breaking up. So I will not be surprised if we get up to 29.2K before we anticipate any further pullback from Bitcoin. Okay, but if we do get it for whatever reason, this is that key level. This is going to be the golden level that I will be gunning for. And of course, I already have my core allocation in, but as far as maybe the altcoins are concerned, if price actually gets down to this region right here, I will be looking towards some of the altcoins to see what, well, what's there. And speaking of altcoins, I actually wanted to give a big shout out to Sean for, well, he's been in the freaking zone. He's actually posted 2 excellent 3x trade setups in the Seed Discord chat. He posted one on Velodrome, which I actually copied him on. That was a very, very good trade setup, and Velodrome is actually a pretty good project the more I look into it. But anyways, Velodrome was one, and the other one was the BitGet token. So he's been freaking killing it. He's been absolutely killing it. And this is where I want to invite you guys into the Discord chat. For those of you who are not in there already, get into the Grove, because now is the time where a lot of people I'm noticing are looking for trade opportunities. And you're going to find traders in there that, you know what, could be in the zone. Okay, it's not necessary that you're always in the zone. There are times where I'm in the zone, there are times where I'm not in the zone, but hey, there are other traders out there that might be in the zone, and that is edge for everyone else in the community, right? Today, Sean is in the zone. Tomorrow, Ted Sheets could be in the zone. Tomorrow, Ajesh could be in the zone, right? We don't know who's going to be in the zone, and having access to all of these community members could give you that additional edge. So get into the Discord chat and start making friends, start looking at trade setups, try and figure out who is in the zone right now. So yeah, he's been posting his trade setups in the seed chat. For those of you in the seed program, make sure you're watching out for Sean because he's been freaking nailing it so far. Now, getting back into this sort of pullback opportunity right here. This is the zone that I'm going to be gunning for. Like I said, I think we're going to be lucky if we get it, considering that we've entered a very, very volatile range. But this is what I personally will be looking for as far as targets concerned in terms of, you know, the prevailing volatility on the chart. Where's the next target I see Bitcoin getting up to? Well, for that, let me take you guys on over to my other Bitstamp chart. This is where I already have my targets drawn out for you. Okay, so we have the target. The first target based on volatility profile is honestly right above us. We're sitting at 27,692 as the first volatility base target. Okay, now as far as the target for that that beautiful head and shoulders pattern is concerned, let's go ahead, take it, smack it on the break. That's likely going to take Bitcoin all the way up to $41,000. Do I believe Bitcoin gets up to $41,000 this year? I don't know. I'm not God. I cannot time this stuff, but I'll tell you something. 42K is going to be a very, 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 very important number. Okay. Now the move that we're looking at from where price is at right now to 42K, what does that move? That's going to be a good 52% to the upside. Now, why is this such an important target? Well, this actually brings us to a very, very good segue into that macro signature that I was telling you about, right? That signature, the target that's essentially going to mark out when the next Euphoria stage might be approaching for Bitcoin. Okay, what do we need to watch out for? Now, I have tested the signature on the other cycles, the other past cycles for Bitcoin, and so far it's been very, very, very consistent. Okay, now it's a very, very simple signature. I'm actually going to take you guys on over to my index chart for this because I have it all marked out, and specifically on the monthly time frame. So if you guys want to follow along, go ahead and do so. You don't need any certain indicator for this. We're just going to be using a very simple mathematical formula. And that, my friends, is the formula of the midpoint. That's right, something as simple as the midpoint. How do you calculate a midpoint between two numbers? This is number 1, and this is number 2. To calculate the midpoint between two numbers, you're basically adding the 2 and dividing it by, well, 2. Okay, so you're adding the two numbers and dividing it by 2, which will give you your mid. Right, so now what two numbers are we focusing on right here within, well, all of these market cycles? Because this entire range right here was one market cycle, right? This was the other market cycle, the one prior to that. This was the other market cycle. So what is a market cycle, guys? It is basically this right here, right? We're looking at accumulation, markup, distribution, markdown, and begin again, right? Accumulation, markup, distribution, markdown. Alrighty, so we're looking at the bull market phase, the bear market phase, and all of the major consolidations forming the major reversals in the market. Right? So these are the various market cycles. Now, we are concerned with two primary numbers within each market cycle, okay? And that is number 1, the highest point of the cycle, okay? During getting up into that markup phase, basically the highest point and the lowest point in the bear market, okay? The low, right? So this wouldn't be this high, so this is one cycle right here, okay? That's 1. Our next data point is this, the high of this cycle and the low getting into, well, that cycle too, okay? So the highest point in the bull market and the lowest point in the bear market, okay? That is one cycle that we're going to be looking at. The next one is going to be the highest point in this market cycle and the lowest point right here, okay? That's the third one that we're going to be looking at. And then this is the fourth one that we have right now, which is the highest point of this cycle and the lowest point of this cycle, okay? we're going to be calculating the midpoint of each of these cycles. Now, of course, you guys can go ahead, use this very simple formula to, well, come up with the numbers on your charts, and you can mark it out on your charts, okay? But I have already gone and done that groundwork for you guys, and I have come up with the levels, basically the midpoint levels in each market cycle, okay? So I'm going to bring that up for you right now. Perfect. Now that I've cleared out my chart, let's start with cycle number 1, okay, which is this data point that we have here. Cycle number 1, we're looking at the highest point of the bull market and the lowest point of the bear market. Where will the midpoint take us to? The midpoint comes in at around $16.95, okay? Now this is where the observation really comes to play. It is essentially one monthly candle close over the midpoint that then propels Bitcoin into this next euphoria stage of the market. Okay, while price from the bear market lows to the midpoint did a good 789%, what followed after that was a good 7,313% to the upside. And to focus on duration here, while this phase of the market took around, what is this, 14 months to play out, the other euphoric stage of the run-up took around 10 months to play out. Okay, this just goes to show you the magnitude of the moves that we can expect getting into the next phase of the bull run. Okay, so I'm going to be terming that the euphoric stage of the bull run. Now, this is the first cycle, right? Let's go ahead and pull up the second cycle. Okay, so now for the second cycle, we're looking at the highest point of this bull run right here and the lowest point of that bear cycle right there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and bring up the midpoint of those two, those 2 points. And here is the midpoint, okay? The midpoint came in at around $702 on the dot, all right? And notice how price reacted right off of $702. As soon as we got that first monthly close over that, that's where we saw that euphoric move to the upside, okay? Taking Bitcoin all the way up to $20,000. That was that 2017 cycle, right? Now from these market lows right here all the way to, well, the midpoint, that was a good 333% to the upside. Now from the midpoint all the way to, well, the 20K region, what was that? That was a good 2,727% to the upside. Okay, now while this phase played out, let's take it from here. Okay, I'm going to be fair. Let's take it from here all the way to the breakout. That played out over 15 months. Okay, this next phase played out over 13 months. Alrighty, so yeah, that's the kind of magnitude you see as soon as we get into that euphoric stage of the market. And once again, guys, lining up with the midpoint, one monthly close over the midpoint will likely propel Bitcoin into, well, that next phase. And if there's one observation that I have made, that midpoint or the break of the midpoint on the monthly time frame usually lines up with the Bitcoin halving. Yeah, so there's like a lot of confluence in those areas in terms of price action in addition to, well, Bitcoin's fundamentals. Okay, so we have like that big freaking event. The Bitcoin halving event is a deflationary event as far as the supply is concerned, right? Mining rewards get reduced, they get halved. Now, this is the second cycle that we were looking at. Let's look at the third cycle. Now, for the third cycle, we're looking at this as the highest point, this right here as the lowest point. And guys, just to let you know, I am taking the wicks into account. So if you guys want to go ahead and well, do the same exercise on your charts, by all means do so, but I have been taking the wicks. Okay, so you guys can use the same set of calculations if you'd like. So now, as far as the midpoint of the third cycle is concerned, let's go ahead and bring that up. And this is it right here. Yep, I know, it's crazy, it's freaking nuts. But the midpoint of this cycle came in at around $11,464. This region right here that you see, guys, that is the Bitcoin halving. Okay, that's where Bitcoin actually had its last halving event. Now, as soon as we broke out of this region right here, that's where Bitcoin got into its euphoric stage, and it took Bitcoin all the way up to that $62,000 region. Okay, now from 3K all the way up to that region right there, what was that percent? That was a good 265% to the upside. Okay, how much time did that take? That took roughly around 22 months. As for the euphoric stage, let's go ahead and we'll take the move for that. Okay, so now that played out in around 13 months, okay, as opposed to 22 months, and that move was a good 500% to the upside. Okay, yes, these cycles have, the moves rather of the cycles have been sort of compressing. You can see Bitcoin's volatility reduce every cycle, right? So you can expect, at the very least, I'll be expecting something very similar this time around as well. But I will be looking for this signature to, well, be maintained. And I really like the fact that there is a bit of confluence with the halving events as well. Okay, so we had this halving here, price broke out and then rallied to the upside. Now, once again, if we're looking at the most recent cycle, okay, the most recent data points. Now, here's what we're looking at. I'm going to show you all the confluence we have here. Okay, now we're looking at this point right here as the highest point. Okay, which it came in at around $68,997.75. Okay, and the lowest point being this right here. Okay, which came in at around 15,473.78. Now, if I take those numbers and I find the midpoint of those numbers, this is what it's going to give me. Okay, $42,235. Okay, $42,235.76 to be exact. Right, that is where the midpoint comes in at. Now, as soon as I start seeing a monthly candle close over that region, I will know that, okay, it's time. We're likely heading into the next euphoric stage for Bitcoin. Now, of course, it's not always necessary that it breaks there. It basically breaks out of that region on the first test. I mean, we could get something very, very, very similar to this right here. Right, this is where Bitcoin went from 3K all the way up to 14K, only for us to close underneath the midpoint of that entire cycle. And this is what followed right after. So it's going to be very, very important that we wait on the monthly close over that level before actually getting, getting too excited for the next euphoric phase, because you don't want to be, well, positioning right here, anticipating the euphoric stage only to see rejections like this and wait it out for the next, like, how long did this take, right, for us to get back up there again? That took another 16 months, guys. You were sitting there over a freaking year, okay, waiting for price to get back up there. Okay, so wait on that monthly close before, well, anticipating the next, that next sort of entry into the euphoric stage of the market. Now, what's really, really cool about this level is the sort of confluence that I'm seeing on there. Now, just prior to me bringing up the signature, we went over that head and shoulders pattern, right? Now that we have this marked out on our charts, 42.2K, let's go ahead back into that head and shoulders pattern right there. Okay, I'm going to adjust my scale. Now, this is a very, very clear reversal pattern. Okay, so this is it. This is the shoulder, left shoulder, head, and this is the right shoulder. Let's go ahead and draw out the neckline right here, and this right here is the neckline for Bitcoin. Okay, now if I go ahead and once again take the measured move of the head and shoulders pattern, plot it on the break, where will that take Bitcoin up to? And what do you know, guys? 41.6K. Okay, now we're seeing a bit of a range build up for us right there. Okay, so now we have a midpoint of the entire cycle. In addition to that, we have the reversal pattern getting out of the bear market phase, taking us up to 41.6K. But in addition to that, if I take you guys on over to my monthly time frame, we have one additional very, very important confluencing factor right there. And that, my friends, is the Ichimoku Cloud Tenkin on the monthly time frame. The Tenkin, just to show you, I'm just going to knock off my drawing tools for a second. I want you guys to focus on the blue line on my chart. That right there, guys, is the Tenkin. The Tenkin comes in at around $42,235. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up the levels once again. And there it is. Okay, there's a lot lining up there. Now, what would be spectacular, of course, is price getting up there, heading into the next halving as well, right? That would be a very, very powerful alignment of technicals and fundamentals, right? At that point, it could be a very high conviction trade play that you, that anyone can take. Now, heading to the halving, the first pullback I see would likely be a bid opportunity, okay? So I'll be looking at that. Now, it would be even better if we get into the halving, getting into 42.2K, price is still hovering here. We see the pullback, that's likely going to be the bid opportunity, and then Euphoria, here we come. Now, of course, I'm not God. I'm not sure if that's how price plays out, but at the very least, I'll be using my technicals to help me out here. And this is one of those signatures that I have spotted out on Bitcoin's chart, which, as you can see, has fared extremely well in the past on these monthly closes. Okay, so once again, guys, that's what I will be watching out for. But yeah, this is a nice storm of confluence that I'm seeing here on this level, and I really, really wanted to bring this up to your attention. So yeah, this is what I have for you as far as the signature is concerned. Now, let me know how you guys like it in the comment section below. I wanna see what you guys have to think about this, and if there's anything else that you're seeing that I perhaps am missing. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash the likes, and I will see you in the next update. With this, trade safely, trade stress-free, trade the mango way, trade the easy way. Ciao, you guys.